Hey guys, I'm Emily from Blue Mouse, and today I'm going to show you how to do a right slanting decrease in brioche knitting. This is worked over 3 stitches, and you can work it on the light side or the dark side, it doesn't really matter. You just work up until you get to a brioche knit stitch, and that is what you're going to be decreasing over. And it creates this kind of wishbone shape here, leaning to the right. So I'm going to do this decrease on a light side or a right side row. So you just begin working your light side row like you normally would. And you just work it until you get to the brioche knit stitch that you want to work your decrease into. And now I'm just going to slip this brioche knit stitch, and remember these 2 loops count as 1 stitch. So even though there's 2 loops here, it's just 1. I'm just going to slip it as if to knit. It's very important that you slip it as if to knit. So you go in the front as if you were to knit it, and then you just slip it to your right hand needle. And then this next stitch, you're just going to knit. And then you're going to take your left hand needle and go into that brioche knit stitch that you just slipped. And you're going to pass it over the stitch that you just knit. So you go into it, pass it over that knit stitch and off your needle. So you just decreased 1 stitch. And now we're going to take this stitch that we just knit and slip it back without twisting it back onto our left hand needle. And now you're going to take this next brioche knit stitch and you're going to pass it over this stitch right here. So you go into it and you pass it over and off the needle. And now you just slip this stitch right here without twisting it back onto your right hand needle. And then you just begin working your row normally, either to the end of the row or until you've reached the next brioche knit stitch that you want to decrease into. And I'll show that to you one more time. So we've come up to our next brioche knit stitch and we're going to decrease into it. So you're going to slip this brioche knit stitch as if to knit. That's very important. So go into it as if to knit, but just slip it to the right hand needle. And then you're going to knit the next stitch, which would have been your slip-one yarn over, but you're just going to knit it. Now you're going to pass the 2 loops that make up the brioche knit stitch over the stitch that you just knit. So pass it over and off, and then you're going to, without twisting, slide that knit stitch back to your left hand needle. And now we're going to slide the next brioche knit stitch over this stitch here and off the needle. And you've just decreased 2 stitches. Now you slip this stitch back to your right hand needle without twisting it and continue working either to the end of your row or to the next brioche knit stitch that you're going to decrease into. So I'll show that to you one final time. So I've worked to a brioche knit stitch. So I'm just going to slip that stitch as if to knit, knit the next stitch, which would have been a slip-one yarn over, pass both the loops of that brioche knit stitch over your knit stitch and off. Without twisting, slip that knit stitch to your left hand needle, pass your next brioche knit stitch, both loops, over your knit stitch and off the needle. And then without twisting it, slip that knit stitch to your right hand needle and just continue working to the end of your row. And then you're going to slide back to the beginning and work the row normally with color B.